it's been a while since I bought this bigme S6 Plus e-ink tablet. I wanted to compare it with my Amazon Kindle, which is a 2015 version that I have. It's a Kindle Paperwhite, not Kindle Basic. I had my iPad for a really long time, and I am a bit of a note taker slash sometimes even illustrator online. Like, I like to do some of my own design stuff as well, and I feel like different devices come handy for different things. Over the last decade, I have had my Amazon Kindle with me for all my reading necessities, and I even used this with a cover, but very recently I have started using this with a pop socket, and there are a lot of interesting ways I like to use it, so I'll talk about this. But the goal of this video is to sort of compare all of these three devices and tell you how I use which one and why did I even buy this one, which was probably pointless. And to be honest, even after 2 weeks of using it, I don't know how I feel about it. Let me break this video into two parts. The first part is just going to be generally what kind of tablet devices I have and why do I even use them. And the second part is going to be a specific use case, which is for reading. This Kindle Paperwhite was also a special edition where you had unlimited internet. Kindle used to release these models where you could access the Kindle store for free anywhere in the world and you don't have to pay for internet, and I had purchased that one because I thought it was very cool and I kind of also wanted to know how far it would go, so I signed up for it. I could be in any part of the world and not have access to internet, and this would still let me download books or at least browse books. I think downloading has become a little harder. I haven't downloaded a new book on this lately. I mostly just buy my books online and then send it to Kindle. So there's a send to Kindle app that you can install on your computer. You can just drag drop your PDFs on it, or if you are buying from the Kindle store, I just have a send to Kindle option. When you purchase a Kindle book, it just uploads on all your Kindle apps, including this Kindle device that you use as well. Why this was useful for me: I used to travel a lot. I purchased it around the time when I was working as a model. I had shoots in different cities. There would be moments where you're just waiting, and I also always felt like being on the phone is kind of rude when you're in a workplace. But reading a book is still, like, I guess it's a little more acceptable if you're not doing anything else, or like if you're not expected to do anything other than wait. Like, it's just strange. I think more than anything else, I just wanted to continue staying in touch with the slightly more academic side of me. And what that meant was that every time I would be at an airport, I would just do a lot of impulse shopping of books and stationery and even notebooks, and I would just, like, write while my flight would take off. And like, for me, it was a very zen period where back then flights used to not have Wi-Fi either, so I used to just enjoy that 2-hour forced silence that I would get, and that would be a very zen, very peaceful time for me where I could read. And there was a time in my life where I would have like 4 or 5 flights a week. Like, it's not been a constant, but like there were definitely stretches of my life where I have done that, and in those days this was such a blessing. It's just very light and skinny, so it would just drop in my handbag, and I would have this, I would have my phone, and then I would just have a small carry-on bag, and I wouldn't check anything in. The Kindle just functioned as the perfect distraction-free reading device. It also had a little light within itself, so if I was reading in the dark, I could just read in the dark. This book is definitely an old book, and if you look at the color of the pages here versus here, I've become so comfortable reading on the Kindle that for me, I actually sometimes prefer the experience because this is light, and with this little pop socket that I've attached, it just becomes even easier. Like, it's not even a one-hand read then, it's literally like a 2-finger read. Whereas with a book, again, it's fine, it's still a one-hand read, but it's bulky. You put it in your bag and like it just occupies space, and then you feel guilty if you didn't end up reading. For me, the Kindle was just perfect at that time. This is not great for PDFs. While I was studying, I preferred reading on my iPad. Back then I was reading more of academic material, which kind of came as PDFs, which was just so much handier on the iPad, which I ended up buying. The Kindle was great for reading just books, and not, I wouldn't say academic kind, unless you're one of those people that can actually go through an academic book, like a curriculum listed book, you know what I mean. As a casual read, I am trying to get there, but I haven't been able to get there. Like, I do end up zoning out with books like those. Coming to the iPad, I actually first bought the iPad to be able to annotate on PDF. It's an iPad Pro, and the reason why I had gone for the Pro version was because I wanted to be able to do some basic video editing and also to be able to use Procreate. Now, some people like to use the iPad with the keyboard, and I do have that keyboard over here and I use it very frequently. But for me, the experience of writing on an iPad and journaling, this is literally my, can you rotate, like this is literally how I take notes through the meetings and like how I journal, this and that, like everything is just synced to my phone. I never really liked how those paper-like screen protectors made the screen quality very weird, which is why I bought this flexible sheet with some magnets on the side. This one creates that sense of texture. When you try to watch a video through this, the experience is definitely a lot duller, but when you write, this versus, suddenly it just feels like I'm writing on paper. Then I got this little attachment to my Magic Keyboard, which allows me to sort of prop my Apple Pencil without losing it. And after doing all of this, the consequence is that the iPad becomes really heavy. My iPad is a very heavy duty note-taking device. I don't like to drain its battery on reading, because then when I suddenly need to take notes, I am out of battery and then I want to charge it. So like, my iPad has become almost like an extension of my work setup. My work setup would have my laptop and my iPad, and if either one of them have battery that starts dropping too fast, I get anxious. Also, it's not a very comfortable reading experience. Like, if you're used to reading even a book which is inspired of being bound quite light, and then you're also used to reading on something like this would just give you a cramp unless you're okay propping it in an awkward position and then reading on it, and that was just not going to do it for me. Obviously, when it comes to PDFs, it's so amazing. It's just like, the size just allows you to open that entire PDF almost like an A4 sized sheet. You use all these apps and you can import your PDFs on it. You can just annotate on your PDF, sign on them, do all kinds of crazy things on them. However, coming to this device, one of my classmates had a Remarkable tablet and I had tried writing on it. Remarkable was going to be just another paper notebook that I'm carrying around, because it's not letting me do a lot of things other than taking notes, and for a lot of people that's exactly what they want. But for me, the basic reading stuff the Kindle was sorting out anyway. I already had an iPad, and the Remarkable size was just not like, it just, I didn't want to have yet another device that I'm just always lugging around. But I got curious about e-ink devices in general and what exists out there. And I realized that there are e-ink devices that also run Android. Now, that piece was a bit of a game changer for me, because imagine if my Kindle could run an Android and be as smooth and seamless as it is. The thing with e-ink devices is that media consumption is really tough. Things would just move slower because the technology that's used in e-ink devices, as fast as it is, it still needs to refresh the page. But there were a few things that I wanted to read more of which I couldn't on the Kindle, and while I could do them on the iPad, the experience was still not distraction free. Some of these things were stuff like Press Reader and Magster. These are basically magazine subscriptions that I have. I also have, I'm a library member, so I use Libby, and I mean, this is a library book as well, so this book is from the library that I'm a member of. But I can do all of this on the iPad. But I wanted a colored e-ink reader which I could open my magazine apps on, Libby, and also my note-taking apps on. And this one comes with a stylus. It comes with a little folder as well, but it comes with a stylus, which means that I can take quick notes. So like, if I'm reading something or if I'm traveling and this is the only device that I'm carrying with me, I can take some quick notes and thoughts, and I didn't care so much about the battery. I've had some mixed feelings about this one. I feel like while I bought this device so that it's a bit of a jack of all trades. By the way, look at the screen size difference. This one is 7.8 inches and this one is 6 inches. Like for me, I can use both of these one-handed. There's also this folder that it comes with, which has these buttons for page turning. Now, coming to the last few days of how much I've enjoyed reading this or not, or using this in general. First of all, because this device is trying to be a little bit of everything, it ends up not being my favorite for anything. If I want to take notes, I'm going to take them on the iPad. If I want to read a book, I tried so hard to use the Kindle. So it does have a Kindle app here, and I tried so hard to read on the Kindle app over here, and it's quite an enjoyable experience. But the screen is going to be a lot grayer. For any colored e-ink device, see how different the contrast is, and that's obvious, that's expected. This one is a color e-ink device. I did regret for a moment that I should have probably gone for a black and white one. Then you have to use the backlight. So this is again with the backlight, this is without the backlight, and even with the backlight on, it's like, it's not fun anymore. It feels like reading on a mini iPad. And then the only fun that remains is the fact that this device just doesn't allow for distractions as much as your iPad, and I guess that's the thing that we've paid for. So this is the Magster app on the iPad. It's just so easy to read. So for the newspaper, I would definitely say the iPad is amazing, but when you read on this color e-ink device, it's just a bit of a, like, sure, like I zoom in, I zoom out, and there's some color to give some clues. Like, I'm sure I enjoy subtle colors over and above, like even these charts, for example. Like, I'm sure I enjoy these subtle colors over and above a black and white display, and I'm only able to say that this is not satisfactory because I am not reading this in black and white. But I think between the black and white and color, maybe it was a good idea to choose the color e-ink device. And if you don't look at your Kindle for a while and you just have this device, I think it's a perfect reading device as well. It's just that I've been so spoiled by my Kindle, and knowing that this is at home, I just end up reaching out to this one for reading. Once this becomes my solo device, I think I'm gonna get so used to it that it won't make a difference at all. But the trade-off of having the Android app is just, it's so worth it. Coming to the apps now, I did find a workaround to make GoodNotes work on this. And I needed that because I needed to sync my devices across my iPhone and my Android, etc. When I downloaded GoodNotes straight from the App Store and tried logging in for the first time, the whole thing was just stuck at this screen forever and it just never opened. And then I finally was able to make it work by logging into GoodNotes web and purchasing the web subscription. And after buying the web subscription, I reinstalled the GoodNotes app and suddenly it started working. The process of taking notes on these secondary apps is just so hard that I would just go back to my iPad for taking notes. Anyway, see, now the page is not going to open. And then finally, when I find the right page, sometimes it would just crash completely. It's just not a fun experience. And the global handwriting feature that they have, like they have this little setting where you can go into global handwriting and now you're in handwriting mode. It's just got so much of a lag, and like some days it would just be laggier than other days. The inbuilt app kind of functions as a substitute for a notebook at hand, but it doesn't function very well as my synced GoodNotes notes, which is something that I would use my iPad for. And if I don't have the iPad around, I would rather just take the GoodNotes notes on my phone and let it sync across all my devices than go through the hassle of trying to open that app over here. Even OneNote, like all of these other note-taking apps, they're useless for this, and that was something that I'm really bummed out about because I really was looking forward to that feature. Unlike the Kindle where you just get to your books straight away, here you have to manually go and find the app and type it, but then that's literally why you've got this, because you want all these other apps. And I've tried to organize my homepage in a way that all my actual productive apps are on one side and then all my useless apps are on the other side. The goal is that, you know, in between work breaks, you could either brain rot or you could just grab onto a device like this and be like, instead of brain rotting, I'll just fumble around with some other stuff which might not be as interesting as scrolling on Instagram could be, but at least it's still a break, but a sort of a slightly better kind of a break, I guess. I don't know how to describe that feeling. Like I told you, there's this pop socket, a magnetic one, which actually I don't have to carry an extra one around. I usually just have one attached to my phone, so I would just pop that out from my phone and put it on this device, and then I would just read like that, or I would just hang this on the stand and the stand would just be placed on the table or anywhere, and then, you know, I'm just reading from a distance. This pen also has a little button which allows me to turn pages remotely, so it acts like a remote. I can literally be doing my reading and not straining my neck, and I'm turning pages like this, which is fun and convenient. I did the same thing with my Kindle. I bought a page turner. I know I took it a little too far, I guess, and it sounds like the laziest thing to do, right? But it's just so convenient. This little clip on the screen, then every time you press this button, I'm changing the pages with my feet right now. This would be kept on the bedside, and then I'll be tucked in a blanket with the remote in my hand, reading and sleeping. Finally, when it's time to sleep, I just sort of put this aside, but it's just convenient. Like, it just lets you sort of bed rot, but instead of scrolling, you're just clicking and reading, and it's nice. So this is a comic book. The same thing on the iPad would be extremely sharp contrast, by the way, but there's just something really old school about it. It's just nice, it's light. But would I recommend that you buy this, especially as your first device? No. You'd be better off spending that money on a tablet. The iPad is amazing. The Samsung tablets are amazing. There's so many other tablets that are really amazing. The final verdict is that yes, it's a great device. I don't regret buying it. It's a bit of a jack of all, master of none kind of a device, but that's actually also its big con, because it's not really amazing at any one particular thing. If you want to take notes on third-party apps with this device, do not do that. Like, do not buy this for that purpose. It's good to carry around as a notebook as long as you're okay using the inbuilt note-taking app. That, I think, was my biggest bummer. Like, I really wanted those notes to work because I wouldn't have to carry my iPad around, but I still need to use my iPad. As of now, even after 2 weeks, this is not the first device that I reach out for when I want to do anything. It'll get there. It'll take me a lot more time to get used to this one. So yeah, that's about it.